So, welcome everyone to Life in F-Stop. Today we are going to talk about one of my favorite categories about conceptual and surreal photography. And to discuss about this, I have invited one of the most visionary minds in conceptual photography and surreal photography. I don't really think that you need a presentation, Eric, because everyone knows you. So it's Erik Johansson. He is very well known for his mind-bending composition that merge imagination with reality. Eric creates worlds that feel both impossible and strangely believable. And
Yeah,
he has the ability to turn everyday scenes into extraordinary visual stories. So thank you, Eric. I appreciate your presence. And we're going to discuss about the conceptual photography, which is a really interesting category.
yeah.
And first of all, congratulations on your latest exhibition in Istanbul. It looks truly captivating. Your surreal world continues to evolve in such unique ways.
Thank you so much, and thank you
Can
for
you
having
tell
me.
us a bit about recent exhibition in Istanbul and what was it? Was it there a main theme or concept behind it?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that the best way to experience my work is on an exhibition where you can really see the details in ways that you normally don't really get to experience. So I'm always very excited when I get the opportunity to show my work in, especially in big scale. And in the case with Istanbul, they reached out to me and I wanted to present something. Yeah, I wanted to work with contrasts and the way that my work works. I mean, like, I don't know how much how familiar people are with the work, but it's I don't really work in series like traditional photographers maybe.
Mhm.
It's for me it's more that each work in it is its own world in a way. So when I do an exhibition, I usually try to work around a topic or a theme, and then I try to see which works can kind of go under that theme and work together. So that was the case in Istanbul, and the exhibition is called Between the Shadows, which is also the name of one of my works. And it was a lot of playing with dark and light and kind of like the contrast and the inspiration that usually lies in the contrast between the light and the dark.
It's really nice because, as you mentioned, you do not really work on series. I remember when I started with photography, and of course, at that time, Googling different photographers, and I found your work, which was at that time. So I really tried to do something similar, but it was very hard at that time because I just was introduced into the world of Photoshop, and that was I was just experienced, but at that time it was very very hard. And then you work in such a unique way that I have seen most of the photographers which are really experts in these fields. They have different style, and your style is unique, and I believe that people cannot really recreate it. It's like you're saying, you just really work in a standalone project, and that's completely different from what you have done from another project, for example.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's
So
like we all try to find a way how to express ourselves. And I think when you do it long enough, that kind of develops a style. So I guess that's I never really planned for it to look a certain way. I guess I just made decisions that I follow my heart in what I think works and what doesn't, and that kind of becomes the style, I guess.
I follow you on Instagram, of course, and I just saw the people's reaction were amazing, and I believe that you have received uh, very positive feedbacks, and people were amazed by the work that you have exhibited there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So I just want to go back in time at the early years before you started with conceptual photography. I would like to know, did you experiment it with other genres like nature, landscape, or architecture? And what initially drew you towards conceptual photography?
Mm. I mean, I think I've always liked drawing and expressing myself visually, and I mean, in the beginning, when I got my first digital camera, it was just something that I was interested in doing. I wanted to see. I mean, being used to drawing, I was used to modifying my. I mean, creating an idea like by filling lines on a white piece of paper, and somehow taking photos to me felt a bit strange just to capture something and then be done with it. And at the time in the beginning of the 2000s, I thought that maybe there would be a way to kind of like do something more with the photos. So I mean, in a way, I kind of discovered photo manipulation at the same time that I discovered photography. And in the beginning, it was a lot about just experimenting and seeing how much can you change a photo and still make it look like a photograph. And I think that's pretty much where it started. And then over time, it has become more and more about the story and the narrative and the whole idea, more like how to build it, kind of. But I mean, that was the simple start. Just like out of curiosity, I started manipulating and playing with photos.
Yeah, it's interesting how, because it's same for me, it just started as, of course, now it's my passion and it's a hobby of mine, but it just started with a digital camera trying to take normal pictures like landscape, and then it evolved into something that you really enjoy doing it. And I mean, of course,
Yeah,
in your end, it's also in another way, like you work with different agencies around the
mm.
world. So it's
Yeah.
really amazing how these ideas and I mean, the progress that you see, like it's really amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it's like just like anyone else. I guess I also had like a macro period, trying to take pictures of flowers or water droplets and all kinds of things, landscapes and people. And I think just over time, I kind of felt that what I'm shooting and like, which is mostly landscapes and people, but in a very small scale in the landscape, kind of what was what made it. I mean, that was what interested me the most, I guess.
Eric, your work is always conceptual and you do concepts. So how do you decide which concept are worth developing further? So do you have like two, three different ideas and then you think, oh, this one would work best for this project? And can you
Mm.
walk through a process? How would
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a very long process, I guess, from the initial thought to the final image. I only make around 6 to 8 new works every year, and this is pretty much my full time job. I mean, I do some commission work every year, but it's just usually a few projects every year. So a lot of time is spent planning and trying to figure out how to capture all the different parts, like where will it take place, who will be in the image, how can I make it so that it feels as real as possible, even if it's an impossible or somehow partly very unlikely thing that's happening in the image. So, I mean, the initial idea usually starts with a small little thought, like something like it can be a transition between two materials, it can be something unexpected that I see. And usually, after I had the initial idea, I put it away for a while. I try to come back to it, and I see like if I'm still interested in it. I try to like keep working on it and trying to see how I can build a story around it. So, I mean, the planning and coming up with the idea is really like the most important part of the process, I would say, because planning it well makes it a lot easier to shoot it and makes it a lot easier to put it all together. But exactly how that planning goes is just like piece by piece it builds up to an idea that I find interesting.
and one of the things I believe that is more important is also if you shoot like indoors or outdoors about the lights. So
Mhm.
I've seen your work, and then I believe that you mostly use like natural light instead
Mm.
of sometimes maybe you use also flashes and
Yeah.
different equipments.
Yeah, I think it's like, I mean, I always wanted to look natural, but sometimes I do use flashes also in order to create, like a splash of sunshine
Yeah.
somewhere. I mean, it's very hard to just get that in nature. If it's sunny
Yeah,
or not
of
sunny,
course.
if it's cloudy. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes I usually bring flashes on location where I'm shooting as well, just in case I need it. I like it to look natural. That's what's most important to me. That it feels like natural light. So I usually don't work with like very complicated lighting setups because I mean in reality we have one sun, so we have one main light source, and that's usually the same way I try to imitate it as well. So if I'm using artificial lighting, I usually use one quite powerful flash on location, and just trying to imitate what it would look like if it would actually be sunshine.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
that's like, I mean, yeah, it's like the most important to me with lighting is that the light has to have a purpose. So like, why is it coming? Why is it there? It has to be matching the rest of the scene, and I use lighting a lot to attract attention to certain details in the images as well, just to kind of drag the attention of the viewer towards that area in the image as well.
You are I mean, you are mastering Photoshop. We all know that.
Yeah,
Um,
I spend a lot of time in Photoshop, but it's funny because I always try to avoid working in Photoshop as much as possible by trying to capture as much of it as I can on location. But of course, Photoshop is still a very important part of that process. But the more you can capture, the more realistic it looks somehow.
how did you learn Photoshop? It was. Are you? I believe you are self-taught, of
Yes,
course.
I learned by trying pretty much. I mean, in the beginning of the 2000s, I used another program called Paint Shop Pro, but that's pretty much the same thing. And I guess, yeah, I don't know, around
Mhm.
2005, 2006, I started playing around in Photoshop. So I've been doing it for, yeah, around 20 years now, I guess. And it's I remember even like starting it the first time. I felt like it was so many tools, so many menus and everything, and I just started going through every menu just to see what does this do, what does this do, what does this do. Because the same, I mean, both with post production with Photoshop as well as with the camera, I was always very interested in learning the technical aspect of it in a good way in order to feel free within like that somehow, like within the technical limitations. So I always try to understand where my limits are technically, and then I can kind of freely create within those boundaries. So
Yeah.
trying by
Now,
learning is not always the fastest, but it's kind of like a fun way to learn, I think.
yeah. Nowadays, Photoshop has evolved a lot, and now we have also AI. But
Yeah.
your work was done. Everything was done like all manually without the AI. So, so
Yeah, it's
that's
like
pretty amazing.
it's another subject, I guess, with the AI. I think it's to me it's not something I'm planning to use in my work. I'm I mean, the process that I have to like really find the different locations and capture them and then combining them.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that process, and also the I mean the creativity is also part of that. Like that, I don't always know what it will look like, but when I come to the location, I can find and discover things that I maybe didn't really plan. And the same goes for, I mean, yeah, during the post production as well. When I'm starting to combine things, I find things that I would normally maybe not have been able to plan. So I feel like AI is sometimes a bit of a shortcut, and I'm not really interested in taking shortcuts. I kind of want it to take the time that it needs in order to become what it is. So letting things take time is important when creating images like this.
Yeah. I mean, of course, it's different when you live it. You go to the location, you shoot it, you have this experience, and then you take, of course, a lot of different photos, and then you come back and then you work on that. Like it's completely a different feeling rather than just saying to Photoshop,
Yeah,
do this or do that, and of course,
absolutely.
yeah,
It's an
it's
important part of it.
completely different feeling. Yeah. So to be because people will watch this video, and maybe they are interested in learning
Mhm.
Photoshop as well, of course. Do you conduct any workshop or share any process like video tutorials, or do you have in plan in the future years something like that?
I mean, yeah, it's like at the moment I don't do workshops, and I mean I do put out behind the scenes videos of my work sometimes, showing a bit of the process, but it's not
Yeah.
really on an educational level. It's more for the viewer to get a like peek behind the scenes to see what I actually shot and like how I kind of build up the scene. But I do have, I mean, in the future it would be nice, I think, to do some kind of workshops. I I. I don't know exactly how and when. It's like I feel a little bit too unorganized to kind of put that together at the moment. But I think it would be great to be able to like also share the experiences I have, because I think by sharing your experiences you also learn something yourself. So it would just be nice to kind of like share that knowledge and kind of yeah work more with other people in that way as well. So it's something that might come, but I think it's still a couple of years away from now.
Yeah, and I believe people really would benefit from someone like you. I mean, sharing your knowledge to the others. It would be amazing. And of course, because I wrote you around this year, sometime in spring, I think. And then, of course,
Hmm.
you are very busy with the projects, and and it's, I mean, you have prioritizing things, and then, of course, but
Yeah,
I hope that you would have the possibility to do this in the future, and then maybe we can meet in a workshop together. So
yeah, it would be
uh,
great. I think
yeah,
it's just yeah, but sometimes when I come into these creative periods when I have to work on something, I kind of have to just close down everything else and just really
yeah,
focus on that, because there's so many distractions and it's hard to kind of stay focused.
yeah,
But yeah, that's part of the reason. Yeah.
yeah. Of course, I mean, you have worked with major big companies like Google, Adobe, Volvo, and all other big companies, and that really needs good dedication, of course.
Mm.
Uh, what was the most challenging project of your career?
Yeah, I hope and think that maybe that's still ahead of me somehow, because I kind of like challenges, I guess. But I mean, it's always when it comes to my own work, I guess it's I mean, you do something, you try it, sometimes it doesn't work, you can leave it behind. But when you do something for a client, that's of course a bit more challenging, because you don't have the option of just leaving it and oh, it didn't work out, so like we do something else. So I think hard to say exactly what was the most challenging, but I would say that it's like when, in general, it's when you plan to shoot something and the weather and something
Mhm.
else makes it completely different than what you planned. Like, planned to shoot a sunny day and it's all of a sudden completely cloudy. You have to bring out flashes, or it starts raining.
Yeah,
And I think, yeah, I mean, it's challenging to want to be a perfectionist and not managing. And I mean, I think there's no such thing as perfection. It's just something we're trying to reach, and sometimes we we miss it more than other times. But I wouldn't say that I had any like huge failures or something with my work, like neither for the personal or commission work. But of course, there has been many challenging situations where things didn't work out the way you planned. But I think you just have to kind of figure out a different way then.
yeah, and like you said, mostly is probably maybe most important thing about the weather and all these things that it might maybe postpone a little bit of your project. So
Hmm.
that's one of the biggest challenge, I believe.
Yeah.
Eric, your work invites viewers to interpret the scenes in their own way. I mean, everyone has, if I see a picture, I have my own thoughts, about it, and everyone has different thoughts, and everyone sees the picture in different ways.
Hmm.
How important is for you to leave room for personal interpretation, and what do you hope that audience takes away from your images?
Yeah, I would say it's a very important part of my work. I mean, I want to inspire people to think and use their, like to feel inspired and think about things in different ways than they are used to. That's part of the purpose of my work. And what I like with photography is really that the challenge of trying to capture a story in a single frame, and something that makes the person that looks at it wonder how did it become like this and what will happen next. And that's why I feel that the still image is such a powerful concept, because it's just you leave a lot of interpretation to the viewer that they have to fill in with like their own ideas as well. So
Yeah.
I think it's very important that the image should be able to speak for itself. But at the same time, I usually put a title on my work, and I think that title is usually the clue to what I would like to say with the work. But then, of course, it's equally important that the rest is kind of like filled in by the viewer.
Yeah, and your work as such is brilliant, and I think and I believe you have inspired. Like, I am one of the people who was inspired by your work and find your work pretty amazing. So I thank you for pushing me doing also my kind of photography in a different ways, coming with all these ideas, and
Yeah, that's great.
because it's very important. And today, I mean, the internet, that you can find things online, it's all these beautiful things, and
Yeah.
creative mind like you. I said before that you have worked with different brands like Adobe, Google, Volvo, but how do you balance commercial project with your personal artistic work? Because you do also, of course, your own artistic work.
Mhm. Yeah, it's. I mean, the commission work. I have requests coming in sometimes, and it's not always that it's something that fits my way and my style of working. Since it's a very time consuming process, the way that I work, it's not always suitable as well. And I mean, I spend so much time on just making one single image. So that means that usually the commission work is usually in advertising. It can be one very powerful image to promote a certain thing, and that's usually what I would work with together with an art director or with a advertising agency to kind of develop an idea sometimes, or sometimes just yeah. Sometimes I'm more involved in the creative process. Sometimes they are more like that. They just need something realized, kind of. But the commission work is something that I really enjoy doing as well. But the personal work is what I find the most creative and the most free somehow. I mean, of course, it's been like through the years, so the commission work has been helpful also for like for the income and earning money from that as well. But these days, I also sell prints, I sell books, I do lectures and other things, and this is also. I mean, I could live just on the personal projects. But what I find the most interesting is the balance between it, I think, because the personal work is a great way to decide what direction to take your photography. If I would only do commission work, just the commission requests would kind of take me
Yeah.
towards, where I would go with my work. But the personal work has always been an important way to kind of decide what you can, to control the way and go my own way somehow. Um, in the beginning, it was also an important way of showing what I was able to do the personal work, and then usually and even today the commission work and requests that I get are based on that they have seen some of my personal work and would like me to do something not exactly the same, but like inspired
Mhm.
by it,
Yeah.
or in its own way somehow.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you have a really unique style, and you do things very uniquely. So people really want to also have their own ads in, let's say, Eric's style, because now it's like your style is a trend, of course, and people. I mean, I would automatically know that it's your work if I see an ad, because
Mm.
it's like your signature, You have created that signature that everyone knows, and you have done it really, really well.
Thank you. Yeah,
So
I mean,
let's.
I'm just trying, I guess. But yeah, it's over time. The more you work on something, the more you kind of like gravitate towards certain decisions when you're retouching and when you're photographing, and that kind of becomes your style, I suppose.
now that we are going to talk about one of your amazing pictures, and to me it was, of course, very hard to choose one. But at the end of the day, I had to pick one, and I would really want you to interpret it and the idea behind it, and of course the process behind it.
Hmm.
So I'm just now going to share the screen,
Yeah.
and you will probably would be able now to see the picture. Okay, so out of the other amazing work that you have done, I have chosen this one, and
Mm.
the title is "Play Outside."
Yeah. It's like this particular image is about children's play and the imaginary. I mean, the imaginary world of the from the child's perspective. And I had this idea about. I mean, when you're children, you can like play anything, and anything becomes kind of real in that way. Like, I mean, you can really put your mind into a situation where you can pretend to be some that things are something else than they are supposed to be. And I had this idea of what is it like to capture this feeling in a way in an image. How can I capture that? And I was thinking like, so to play outside, so that would kind of play with the concept of, are they outside already, or are they pretending that they are inside, and there's some outside there? And it's also working with this window as a way of a portal into this creative world somehow. So that was kind of like my initial thought with this image. Um, and questioning whether, like, I mean, what is reality, and what is the imagination? Where does it start and where does it end? So that was very important to work with this transition between the background and which is an actual place that I photographed, and then the foreground with the fabric, that, or not the foreground, but the right hand side, where that fabric is kind of, the background is becoming the fabric, which is pretty much the curtain that opens up the window behind it. And I wanted to feel like the people are really there, and that the light is coming in from the window, and attracting attention to especially that area where they are standing. So, in order to photograph this, I thought the best is to actually use natural light. So, what I did was that I took a huge kind of a fabric, or like a tarp, that I then cut out the windows, the separate with the glass. They were like the six different squares, and then I hanged it up high in the sky, and I had this shadow around the people where they were standing, or the kids, and then they could be standing kind of in the sun, so it pretty much became like a real window, but in much bigger size. And in order to create a transition of the background into the fabric, I knew that maybe it's a way I can do it in Photoshop, but maybe the best way to create a transition would actually be to use a piece of fabric. So after photographing the landscape, I actually printed it on a piece of fabric that I could just hang
Mhm.
and photograph to get all the folds, and also get the sun, or the artificial light, the flash from behind, that would also kind of like hit the sides of the curtain, and also kind of become the final image. So
It looks so real. The curtains look so real here, so you can.
yeah, so they are actually real, and that's maybe sometimes part of it, that it's hard to say where the transition starts and where it ends,
Mhm.
because I
Yeah.
always try to work a lot with practical effects in order to create a transition. So in this case, it's pretty much three different images, which is the foreground with the kids standing there with the football, and it's the background that I photographed separately, and then it's the curtain and the window that I photographed separately as well. So it doesn't always have to be so many different parts, but each part requires some problem solving in order to make them kind of work. And it's always about trying to match the perspective and the light in the different parts in order to create a final image.
Composition was done in Photoshop.
I had like an initial sketch what I wanted it to look like, but I mean, in detail, yes, I created in Photoshop. So the sketch is always a very simple representation of
Mhm.
what I'm trying to capture. And then when I have all the material, and when I photographed everything and start putting it together, that's when I see what the actual composition will look like.
So this work was your personal one instead of a commercial
Yeah.
work.
this is a personal work.
It's really fascinating, like you said, you also need the time and those feelings to express to the world, like as a person, not just always as doing like commercial works, and
Mm.
these images is taking me back ages when I was also a kid, because we used to play outside
Yeah.
a lot, and then it reminds me also the way I interpret it.
Hmm.
And nowadays we have all these phones, and everyone is like locked up inside,
Yeah.
so they are
Yeah,
not
that's also
playing
like,
outside anymore. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, yeah, it's part of it. It's also like I mean, yeah, to play anything. What does it mean to play? And also to play outside. It's something we do less and less in a way. So yeah, that was
but
also
yeah,
part of the
it's
thought process. Yeah.
perfectly done, amazing. Looking ahead, are there any new themes, concepts, or techniques you're excited to explore?
Um, I mean, yeah, it's usually it's not the problem of having enough ideas. Usually the problem is to have enough time to realize them. So I mean, I don't plan to adapt some new technology to do something differently with AI or virtual reality or something like that. I think I still want to keep on doing images the way that I do, but of course I want to challenge myself both technically and also with the ideas. And somehow one goal I have, like one thing I would like to try to do is to even more try to capture surrealism already in camera, to kind of like even more use props to build scenes and build even more complex scenes, and maybe also photograph more people. Quite often I use just one or two people in my work, but sometimes I feel like I have some ideas that would require a lot of different people, and maybe that's something that I can do in the future as well. But otherwise, it's just I will keep on doing my images, and I feel there's a lot of imaginative ideas to explore still.
Yeah, and I I look forward seeing your new projects ahead, as
Thanks. Yeah.
I usually follow your work, and I will be looking for new projects and see what's up next
Yeah.
for any big company or any, also not commissioned, but also your own concept that you usually share as well. So
Mhm.
keep inspiring people. Like I said, you are one of the most well known and most followed photographers, and one of the most creative minds I have ever come across on the internet, of course,
Thank
and
you so
people
much.
that I know,
Yeah.
especially in the conceptual photography. So keep up the good work, and I really appreciate sharing your story with us, and also sharing your story behind that amazing picture as well. So uh, I hope this is not the first and the last meeting that we would have. I would look forward to meet you in person as well, maybe in a workshop of yours.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having me on, and yeah, I'm happy to hear that you like my work, and hopefully my future work will be inspiring as well.
I'm sure it will.
Okay. Great.
Thank you very much, Eric.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
See you.
See you. Bye.